Good morning. Welcome to Sunday morning. Nice to be here. Uh, Greetings to anyone I can see on Zoom, and greetings to those who I cannot see on Facebook, and anybody who may be watching this later on YouTube. Today we are going to talk about the art of knowing you have enough. He who knows enough will always have enough, according to Lao Tsu. And I read something Kurt Vonnegut wrote about this past week, and it kind of inspired me. So we're going to talk about that today. I want to welcome my brother Richard. Nice to see you. And also mention that today is John Lennon's birthday. Imagine all the people living for today. And also mention that tomorrow at 7:30, I will be leading Laura Cannon's Soul Community meditation group. Laura is down with COVID. She's okay. She's just sick. She's at home resting, and I'll be doing that. I will post the information on that in the chat a little later. But first, let's meditate. So I invite you to find a comfortable posture for meditation, one in which you can be alert but relaxed. If you're sitting with your back straight, not like rigid straight, but it's best if you can do that. Now, if you can't, that's cool. There's no must-haves in this. With your knees slightly lower than your back. Morning Stanley. Your back, not rigid, but in its natural curve. As I've said before, I've been contacted by a couple of people who have back issues, and they asked about meditating lying down, and that is perfectly okay. But if you're going to meditate on your back, I suggest that you have your arm at a 90-degree angle with your hand up, so that if you fall asleep, your hand will come down and you'll wake up. Falling asleep while meditating is not a big deal. And I also want to a quote I came upon by Zen Master Shen Yen, because a lot of people have talked to me about thoughts coming and going during meditation. And he said, the very fear of stray thoughts is another stray thought. Therefore, if you have many stray thoughts, consider it a natural phenomenon and do not despise them. Your mind bubbles things up, comes and goes. We're not looking to be liberated from that, because we can't be, but we can have a different attitude toward it. It's all about how we relate to our thoughts. So I invite you to find an upright meditation posture, upright as in physically upright, and upright as in spiritually, emotionally available upright. And I invite you to, as if you had like a little string at the top, at the crown of your head, just pulling your head up, and tuck your chin in, without stressing the muscles in your neck and shoulders. And let your gaze come down the bridge of your nose. That relaxes the muscles around your eyes. And gently close your eyes. And let's start with a few slow, deep breaths just to get connected to the body. Just receiving an in-breath. About 3/4 full. And on the out breath, just begin the process of softening and relaxing. To invite you to become aware of the sensations of your feet or your legs resting on the floor. Letting your breathing return to normal. And being aware of the sensations of your hands resting in your lap. Just being aware of the touch points of your bottom on the cushion or the chair. The ambient sensations of being present in the room, if it's cool, if it's warm, what the room feels like. What does it feel like to be breathing in and out? Another slow, deep breath. And on the out breath, just relax the muscles in your face. They do a lot of work. You might want to let your jaw fall open a little bit to relax those muscles. And just gently float your lips back together. Just breathing regular and on the out breath to whatever degree you can. Relax your shoulders. Wherever you notice tension in your body, just let it fall away to whatever degree is possible. And continuing on the out breath to relax and soften and relaxing your belly, just soft belly. We often hold tension in our belly and we hold it in, but now we just let it be soft and hang. There's nothing to be tense about in this moment. And let your attention come to the sensations of the body breathing. Noticing the sensations of the in-breath. Maybe your back straightens a little bit, your chest expands. the sensations of your body transitioning to an out breath. Just riding the sensations all the way to the bottom of the out breath. And if it feels okay, just pause for a second at the bottom of the exhale. Just a second. And noticing the sensations as your body transitions from the bottom of the out breath to the next in breath. And just letting your attention and your focus rest on your breathing. Just resting your mind, letting the thinking mind rest and come quiet to whatever degree you can. And keeping your awareness and your focus on the breath, the sensations of the body breathing in, the sensations of the body breathing out. Your mind wanders off in thought. That's okay. It's supposed to do that. When you notice, which could be immediately or after some period of time, but when you notice, all good. Just begin again, focused on your breathing. Whatever you're doing in this moment is enough. If you're bringing yourself back from thought every minute or two, that's enough. It's all good. Thoughts arise, they just do. It's not a problem. And when you notice, it's all good. Just begin again and focus on your breathing as often as you need to. You can't do this wrong. The doing it is the doing it. And as we come towards the end of this sitting, I invite you to contemplate whatever you do today is enough. Whatever you have today is enough. Wherever you are today is enough. And you can rest in the enoughness and the abundance of the present moment. And may it be that this practice enables and encourages us to look out on the world with kind eyes and to move with compassion. And may it be that the benefits of this practice radiate from us with kindness and compassion and centeredness into our households, into whatever meetings we go to the people we pass by on the street, to the person checking your groceries. It just comes off of you like a soft, gentle wind. May the benefits of this practice allow us to move gently through the world. And may the benefits of this practice be of benefit to all beings everywhere. May all beings be happy. May all beings be well. May all beings be safe. May all beings be at ease and at peace. Thank you for your practice. Couple of announcements. I put the usual information in the chat, how to find these sessions, how to reach me through my website, my email. I think I included my phone number. A link to donations if you feel so moved. There is absolutely no requirement for that. I do this for fun and for free. And information about Laura Cannon's meditation group, Soul Community Meditation. I will be leading that group tomorrow night at 7:30. Laura has COVID. She's okay. She's just sick and asked me to fill in for her. So, meta for Laura. So today I'm going to talk about enough, and something that I've heard called and come to regard as destination addiction. I'll be fine when. And what brought this about, at least for me, my good friend, my old friend, Father Harry Grace, posted this thing that Kurt Vonnegut wrote on. It was published in the New Yorker in 2005, and he wrote it on the death of apparently his good friend Joseph Heller, the author who wrote Catch-22. A poem called Joe Heller, True story, word of honor. Joseph Heller, an important and funny writer, now dead, and I were at a party given by a billionaire on Shelter Island. I said, Joe, how does it make you feel to know that our host only yesterday may have made more money than your novel Catch-22 has earned in its entire history? And Joe said, I've got something he can never have. And I said, what on earth can that be, Joe? And Joe said, the knowledge that I've got enough. Not bad. Rest in peace. Enough. When I was traveling in India in 2012, I've talked about this before because this guy really profoundly affected me. You see people begging for alms on the side of the road all the time. You see people starving to death in the streets. And I met this guy down by the Ganges, and he was dressed like Shiva because some of them like to dress like the gods because they think it brings them closer to the gods. And he was begging for alms. He looked totally emaciated. Everything he owned he was probably wearing. And he had like this joyous thing radiating off of him. It was like contagious. It was like a light bulb. It was like just this joy and contentment. He's smiling and laughing. And through his not so great English and my not so great Hindi, I was like, how do you do that? I'm thinking, look at you. I didn't say that. How do you do that? And he smiles and says, vertical, above ground, all good. This is a guy who drinks rice paddy water. He had enough. So, and we struggle with this. I've struggled with this. I stumbled into college radio, 74, I think, 75, I don't know, somewhere around mid-70s, right when I went to college. And I will admit that that's where the stoners were. That's why I went there. Those are the days before sobriety. But I got turned on to radio, and I wanted to get a job in commercial radio. And I did. And then I got bored. So I really liked the way they were doing production in the newsroom. So I wanted a job in radio news, and I got one. Moved to Oneonta, New York, which is kind of just outside the middle of nowhere. And you start at a small radio station. This is the way it works in broadcasting. You start at a small place and you work up to larger markets. I wanted to work for a larger radio station. I got to do that. Then I decided I wanted to work for newspapers. So I got a job at a small newspaper. And I was really happy about that for some period of time, but that wasn't enough either. Right? I wanted to work for a daily newspaper, and I did. In Palo Alto, California, and dissatisfied with that. That wasn't enough either. So eventually landed at the San Francisco Chronicle and was really happy and excited to get there and won awards and all this stuff. Nope. That wasn't it either. So I ended up having a conversation with Business Week because I was a business reporter covering like Apple and Hewlett Packard and those, and I'm in this conversation with Business Week, and it occurred to me that this isn't the path to enough. So I walked away from that and ended up quitting that and working as a freelance writer and consultant right at the beginning of the dot-com boom. I wanted to make a lot of money, and I did that. Still wasn't satisfied. Got turned on to poetry, wanted to be a published poet, did that. Nope, that wasn't it either. Always more, right? Never this sense of enough. I was still restless, irritable, and discontent, even though I kept adding more stuff to my life. I collected 3,000 jazz records. That wasn't enough either. I didn't know enough. Didn't know what enough actually was. So the Tao Te Ching speaks to this in chapter 46, and he writes, Lao Tsu wrote, when the Tao is present, in other words, when we're like centered and going with the flow, When the Tao is present in the universe, the horses haul manure. When the Tao is absent in the universe, war horses are bred outside the city. There is no greater sin than desire. There is no greater curse than discontent. No greater misfortune than wanting something for oneself. Therefore, he who knows that enough is enough will always have enough. He who knows that enough is enough will always have enough. It's a little elusive, especially in this culture where all you have to do is watch an hour of commercial television, not streaming, right? Because all my TV is streamed. I don't see the commercials. But if you watch commercial television, they're constantly telling you you need more. Austrian writer Stefan Zweig wrote that history relates no instance in which a conqueror has been satisfied with conquests. The human mind, our drive to acquire more, is insidious, and we're moving the goalposts as soon as we approach it, and sometimes before we even get to it, before we can even see it. From an evolutionary point of view, this actually makes sense. Okay? Way back at the dawn of time, literally, when we were crawling out of the primordial ooze, more like a tadpole with small legs than anything else, we were at the bottom of the food chain. And instinctively, with our brain half the size of a pea, our entire body was wired for the fact that we were in danger. Just that simple truth. So we were born, driven to be more safe, to have more shelter, more and more and more and more. Well, flash forward to now, that part of the brain is still here. It's in the back, right at the brain, at the base of the brainstem, and exerts a lot of influence. Exerts a lot of influence over the nature of the thinking mind, which I've talked about from time to time. But this ceaseless yearning, this desire for more, to be different, whatever we set our eyes on next, does that ever lead us to happiness? You know, I worked in Silicon Valley for a long time, and I've met people, extremely accomplished people. Anybody here use Microsoft Word or any other word processor? Anybody here ever used the outlining function? I know the guy who created that, right? Made huge amounts of money on it. Created the code that you push a button and your copy turns into an outline. And he was one of the most miserable people I ever met. Okay. I met some really beautiful, wonderful, centered people in Silicon Valley, but I also met people who had accomplished big things and made tons of money who were just not happy. And the truth about that, one of the truths about that, the most centered and peaceful, one of the most centered and peaceful men that I ever met was the janitor at my grad school. Janitor Jack. Janitor Jack was a really cool dude. He was like a sage. He had these two, those like bigger size wiener dogs with little legs. He had two of those, and he was just like this mellow, happy dude you could talk to. He hadn't made a fortune in Silicon Valley. We were, still in Palo Alto. But he cleaned the offices of the people who did. And he was cool. This is kind of insidious and common. I was reading articles about this, and Tiger Woods thought that enough, he referred to it as the E word, like it was like an expletive. Something only losers settle for. As a champion golfer, he feared the void that would form if he no longer had the game or the money or blah, 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 if he wasn't dominating. And so he played through injuries and against doctor's orders and did serious damage to his body. And some of you may have followed what ended up happening with Tiger Woods and his sex addiction and all of that. So the more didn't get him what he wanted. I've talked openly in some of these sessions about my history as an addict and addicted to food, addicted to other things. And it occurred to me at one point that the thread that runs through all of that is I'm addicted to more, right? More food, more dope, more jazz records, more stuff. And my mentor, when I was studying to be a meditation teacher, Kevin Griffin, is a musician, and he wrote this song called Enough. It goes, enough, enough, we have enough. So I invite you just to contemplate for a minute what your life would feel like if you knew you have enough right now. No insecurity, no comparison, nothing to compare it to. No need to be more, to do more, to want more, no need for more stuff. Stuff, we have enough stuff. Now I get it, it's easy for me to say that, right? I live in my upper middle class enclave in Gulf Coast, Florida. The hurricane did not come here. I live comfortably, I have what I need. So it's easy for me to talk about the idea of having enough. But that's not what I'm talking about. There's still that underlying discontent that I need to do more, I need to be more. And I have wrestled with that. So, I know another meditation teacher who gets 1,000 people a week right, on his YouTube feed. It's like, oh my God, I'm doing fine. Right? It's enough just to be able to do this. I love doing this. But there's still that little thing that goes on, probably right at the back of my brainstem. The idea that you have enough and you are enough and you do enough. Now, in the working world, we are not encouraged into this attitude, especially when I was a journalist. They always want more. But I guarantee you are not going to sit bolt upright on your deathbed, hopefully 50 or 60 years from now, and say, my life was a waste because I didn't get enough done in October of 2022. And the stress they lay on you is not yours. You do the best you can. It's good enough. And, there's pushback on this. The idea that contentment is demotivating. We lose our drive, our desire to move forward, to improve. But I don't think so. I was a therapist for like 20-something years, and my insecurities never led me to be a better writer, a better therapist, or a better journalist. They did contribute to a kind of workaholism that didn't serve me and burned me out. Granted, I was always trying to be a better therapist, but coming from a place of insecurity never, ever improved my therapeutic skills or made me a better therapist. And, I was happy with the work, and I was happy with the way I was doing it, and I still did workshops, and I still did trainings because I wanted to add to my skill set. I still go to writing workshops. I still do poetry workshops from time to time. You can be okay and motivated from a place of stillness, from a place of being and having enough. Heller believed he had enough. Joseph Heller believed he had enough, but he kept writing anyway. He wrote 6 novels after Catch-22, one of which is one of my favorite books. It's called Something Happened. You should read it. It's really great. He taught, he wrote plays, he wrote movies. I really don't believe that we will ever feel okay just by virtue of external accomplishments. Money, fame, even respect, piles and piles of it will never make a person feel content. Having enough is an inside job. It comes from the inside. Buddhism likes to have a lot of lists, and there are, of course, the 8 worldly winds. Those are pleasure and pain, gain and loss, praise and blame, fame and disrepute. We reject, we cling. We reject, we cling. It's either too much or it's not enough. And what I'm suggesting is we can be liberated from that and know that we're okay just the way we are. And mindfulness helps us see when we're creating that not enough narrative. You know, when I was in private practice as a therapist, when I focused on abundance and gratitude and feeling secure and okay, my practice grew. When I fell into the, oh my God, it's not going to work out, I don't have enough, and I don't have enough clients, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough blah, 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 it slowed down. That, I think, is part of the nature of karma. What we produce comes back. So the challenge becomes to live with an attitude of abundance. And like anything else in spiritual practice, we have to keep reminding ourselves that we're okay. We're not, this is a culture that doesn't honor being okay. It just doesn't. You can't even drive down the highway without the billboards telling you you need more stuff. But we can decide, as I've talked about before, we get to decide what our internal narrative is. And we're going to notice that we're wandering off into some version of, I'm not okay, I don't have enough, I need more stuff. But a steady mindfulness practice helps us notice that sooner and change the narrative to, okay, I'm okay. Take a deep breath. Look around the room at the present moment. I'm okay. Lao Tsu wrote, when you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. I joke about wanting a Lamborghini. It's like at this point in my life, I'm not even sure I can get in and out of one. But I'm okay without it. When I was in high school, it was probably early 1970s, 71, 72, I really wanted a 67 Mustang. White, convertible with red leather seats. And I probably could have gotten one for a couple $1,000 back then. I still want one, but now they're $40,000. But I'm okay, right? I'm okay without it. I don't need more people. I don't need more stuff. I still hear the part of me that tells me that I do. But as I've said many times, mindfulness practice is not about eliminating our thought stream and eliminating our narrative, the narrating mind. It's about learning to relate to it. To listen to it like a radio station, like Muzak in the elevator, or like a train going by. There goes, my life is inadequate. But I'm going to hang out and just kind of watch that go by and sit in my okayness. So really, if you can learn to embrace this, and it's a practice, I say over and over again, we call these things spiritual practices because we have to repeat and repeat and repeat the general repetitive nature of spiritual practice. You'll be richer than any billionaire. You may do less, but you'll have more. Your boss may be itching and dissatisfied, but if you look at it, your boss is probably always itching and dissatisfied. That was my experience. But I didn't work and play well with others. That's why I was self-employed for a couple of decades. So I invite you into the enoughness of your life, into knowing that whoever you are is enough, whatever you do is enough, whatever you think is enough. Your heart is big enough. You're enough. Thank you for your kind attention. Comments, questions, criticisms? Everybody say hello to my brother Richard. In high school, we called him Jesus.
Morning, everybody.
In high school, we called him Jesus is cool.
Good morning.
Morning.
I figured you might be related to Ken when I saw your last name.
There's not that many of us.
Yeah, I said that's probably not a coincidence.
There is a woman I know in Los Angeles named Sydney Sigmund, who's spelled the same, and we're not at all related.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, I do have a question for you. So I'm, I'm working for FDA right now as a shellfish specialist. I work a lot with oystermen, and it's really cool. It's good work, and I get to be out on boats sometimes, and there's a lot of things I like about it. But I'm also taking courses and training to become a teacher, a biology teacher, probably at the high school level, which of course I know the pay will likely be much less than my current job, but just something in me says you need to teach. That's your true calling. That's what you should be
You have to
doing.
honor that.
Yeah, and in Buddhism, I know they hold teachers at a very high level. They say that's one of the best professions you can do. Um, but at the same time, there's a part of me that's like, growing dissatisfied with my current job because as much as I like about it, there's even more things that I dislike. As you say, it's that constant like deadline pressures um I know I should just be able to say this is enough. I don't need to pursue a teaching career. I don't need to do anything other than exactly what I'm doing now and be satisfied with what I have and what I'm doing. I should be able to say that and just not
What if that part's not true?
nagging at my, So, but I guess that's what I'm grappling with. Like, is it okay to want to pursue something you feel that um, would be a better career for you, uh, even though you should be able to say I'm satisfied with what I have now. This is enough.
I'm not sure you should be able to say that if it's not what actually is true.
Okay.
There's a thread that runs through these conversations that you and I have week to week, which is, am I okay with this normal process that I'm having? I made a pile of money working in Silicon Valley. Pile of money. No one is ever going to pay me that kind of money again. But I was really hating my life. I made a fraction of that working as a therapist. I was much happier. Many years ago, a wise sage was working as an art director in a large advertising firm and living in upstate New York. And one of the things he said to me was, wouldn't it be nice to make less money and have less stress? If you feel like you have a calling, go for it. The I should feel different thing is part of the like not enough thing. You have permission, you need your own permission, but the universe, on behalf of the universe at large, I'm giving you permission to be okay with what drives you, what motivates you, and your needs and wants.
Okay.
And I think the edge for you is to take that in. Yes, there are people who are starving in the streets of India. That does not mean we cannot appreciate our lives. It's important to appreciate how lucky we are. Right? You have this option to go back to school and learn to teach. Cool.
Yeah.
It pulls to you. Like, I was a newspaper reporter for a really long time, and I thought that was a great gig, but it never pulled to me the way therapy pulled to me. I really believe we have to pursue those things. So, to quote my late great mother-in-law, good on you.
I appreciate that. That's a question I've been grappling with a lot. So thank you.
Decide it's enough. Decide you're okay. It's not more complicated than that. We just like add layers of stuff on it in our minds. And none of that stuff belongs to us anyway.
Yeah. Thanks, Ken.
Thank you. Anything else? Anyone else? Well, we are at 10:01. So I thank you for your kind attention. As I said, I'll be doing the Lower Canyons group tomorrow night. Come join us. The information for that's in the chat. And we'll see y'all next week.
Hey, Ken, do you want to hang on after for a moment?
Yeah, Richard, hang out for a
If
few
you
minutes.
have time.
Richard, hang out a minute. I'll be right back.